She's exactly right. I think I'm bringing some retreat back with me, as I will share with you all. But before we begin, I'd like us to just take a moment and come together in consciousness and come together as one idea. So I use this wonderful vehicle that Spirit has given me. I call it my breath. And so I breathe in that wonderful Spirit-filled breath. And I like to exhale slowly, knowing that I'm releasing any things I don't need, from biological, chemical, to all of the worries, concerns that I may have brought in. So I breathe in again, that conscious, connected to my own soul breath, and allow it to move away from me, leaving me with Spirit, leaving me with that idea. And one thing that I know is that I am an eternal being. And as I live in this experience I call my life, I'm allowing my eternal life to unfold as it will. I am full of experiences. I'm full of all aspects of life that move me forward. And I allow everything to be a part of the one thing that is my life. I am learning, I am growing, I am being. But I know that Spirit is as steadfast as the trees I observed in my yard this morning, solid. And just as the flowers are blooming, so is nature, and so am I. Finding opportunities to express uniquely as only one individual expression of God expresses. I am simply grateful to know that I am the thinker in my own experience. And as I know and allow that Spirit within me to guide me, to inspire me, to move me in ways I might not think of in my everyday, in my own personal ego mind. And I allow Spirit, the adventures are unlimited. I am unlimited. And so in that delight, in that moment of expressiveness, I simply take this moment to be grateful. Grateful for all there is. Grateful for my own experience in the world. Grateful for everyone that is here in this room and hearing me from beyond in places I know not. I simply allow it all to be in gratitude. And I simply say yes to everything and agree, and so it is. On the Brink. That is the title that I am using today, On the Brink. And on the brink is an expression that we often use when something unpleasant or even bad is about to happen, something dangerous. And yesterday I was reading the news, and sure enough, popped right up there, Republic Bank is on the brink of collapse. And I thought, yes, I'll use that. And why do we do that? Parker Palmer, who has written any number of books, he's a great and well-known personality in the world of creative thought and education and ideas for improving so many things, forward-thinking ideas, has written a book that is called On the Brink of Everything. And on the brink of everything is how you begin to see other things. Why would we only think of on the brink as disastrous or dangerous? He says, I wonder if it's our reptilian minds that think that we're falling all the time, or we're afraid to cross boundaries. We might get hurt. Why, I think, shouldn't we just imagine that it's all wonderful? We could be on the brink of discovering a super bloom in the wilds of California. We could be on the brink of peace. We could be on the brink of everlasting joy. On the brink of everything. The retreat that I went to this last week had as its theme, on the brink of everything. And in the course of the retreat on Saturday morning, I'm part of a number of deans, and we all do workshops and presentations, and I was doing a presentation about the theme, on the brink of everything. And one of the things I said is, we know in science of mind that we're always changing. We know it as an opportunity. As Reverend Valerie said, change your thinking and change your mind. That is an opportunity for us to move on to the brink of something more wonderful than we're experiencing. But we also understand change as a caution, because if we are not using something other than our reptilian brain, then we may allow things to just change without our own input, and then we may not like it. Or we may see change just coming along and go, well, wait, I didn't want that to happen. But you see, change is ongoing. Change is part of the nature of creation. Everything is always changing. It doesn't matter if I really love the way things are right now. Everything is perfect. It is changing. Ernest Holmes says that nature, and he says this with a capital N, will not allow you to stay in the same place, no matter how comfortable you are. If you get too comfortable, your nature, that spirit within you, is bringing about change simply because that is what happens. So then the opportunity for change, being on the brink of everything, is something to grasp. Now, we were on retreat at a place in Vernonia, Oregon, Camp Cedar Creek. It is the CSL camp. It is rustic, it is woodsy, it is wild. And it's not the kind of place that ministerial students are used to going for their retreats. They're used to going on retreats where you may have a roommate. You can choose to not have a roommate or have a roommate. This is in the past. And you share a bathroom. At Camp Cedar Ridge, they didn't have a roommate. They had several. They were in a cabin with bunk beds, and they had to walk outside to go to the bathroom. Ooh. On the brink of everything. On the brink of everything. So as I'm speaking to them on Saturday morning, I'm not reminding them of that, but I am talking about change and in the way that it is going to happen, and how you deal with it is always up to you. Parker Palmer, and we took the title from his book, On the Brink of Everything, talks about that idea that being on the brink of everything is such an energy-producing notion. But he also explains that he didn't come up with the title on his own. He read it in an essay by a woman whose name is Courtney Martin. Courtney Martin is a younger woman. She's kind of at the leading edge of the millennial group, and she is a self-described feminist. She calls herself a third wave feminist. And which really means, according to the way she puts it, that she wants to be active and working to bring about the change that she thinks needs to happen, that for her life to feel fulfilled. She's done TED Talks, she does blogs. She's actually on an app called On Being. She contributes to those essays. So she does seminars, she does a lot of workshops, and she too has written books. But in the essay that I read of hers called Renewing Your Sense of Awe, when I read the essay, she truly got my attention. She talks in the essay about how she is in life with change, and she talks about learning to renew her sense of awe through the eyes of her toddler child, who is 16 months old at the time she wrote that essay. And she talks about seeing her child see things, experience things, and she looks at life through the eyes of her daughter. Well, it resonated with me like a gong, because that's what I've been experiencing with my own granddaughter, and I don't live with her. But I can recall when she was a really tiny baby, she could be fussy at times. So I'd just take her outside, because the outside was like magic. And so we would walk, we'd stop and look at bushes. She'd look at the bush, a butterfly lands on the bush, and she is, excited. And then we move at a different kind of flower, and she wants to grab them, which I'm not allowing her to do, but she is just delighted with what she sees. They're birds, they're all of these things, and she is so enthralled with all of it. And I wonder how many of us actually do that. Do we walk along and study the bushes? Or do we just know it's a bush? We may even know what kind it is, and we keep going. Well, fast forward to the time she stayed with me in February. And she's much more accomplished now with things she can do with her hands, and she says words, and so she is, having so much fun. But see, that energy of being on the brink of everything has her rushing from thing to thing. She never just strolls. It's always a race to go from here to here. And I recall that she would take a puzzle piece, it's a number 3, and she'd put it back in the puzzle, and if she got it right in there, I did it! The delight in doing that. It was so wonderful. And so fast forward to just last week, my son-in-law sent me a video, and she has been, when she's not running around, she's trying to jump. And of course, her idea of jumping is like this, and the feet aren't leaving the ground. But in this video, she got a little lift off. And so she does this, and she gets a little lift off, and she throws her arm back. She is laughing uncontrollably. She is so excited. When is the last time as adults we get that excited? So Courtney Martin's essay is renewing a sense of awe. And that is such a wonderful thing. And by experiencing everyday things, beautiful things, delightful things, we get to reconnect with that idea of enchantment and finding it in everyday things. One of the aspects of this whole concept of dealing with this is having to do with the idea that we can orchestrate the change. We can step into this idea of being on the brink. Because many of the ministerial students are there, and they vary in ages probably by decades. So it's not, don't think of them as college students that you see at a university. They range in ages. But they're still on the brink of whatever the next thing is. They wouldn't be in ministry, studying ministry as they are, without this sense of knowing that it really is all a wonderful thing, and that I need to find a way. Does that mean they are without challenge? It does not. It does not. There's too much work to do. There is too much going on. There is too many activities. I can't get it all done. And the retreat is this idea to come back to that notion that I can do whatever it is that I want to do. And that whatever happens, I can move through it. There is a thinker whose name is Florida Scott McKinney. And that saying is that whatever is going on, the things that are depressing, the things that are not wonderful, the things that are simply not working, is part of our life. And when we take all of those things, whether we're looking back at these terrible things that we label as happening, these unfortunate things that happened, and perhaps it's what someone said to me today. We take all of those things and accept it as, this is my life, all of it. And she talks about accepting it with a fierce reality. That in a fierce reality, all of it is part of what I'm doing. And so one of the things Courtney Martin is talking about as well is that sense of awe that we have, we tend to allow to drain away. We don't have to just say as adults, even as older school children. There is, part of becoming an adult, she says, we lower our expectations. And we become disappointed in ourselves. We may be disappointed in others. And it's part of becoming an adult. She even follows, Courtney Martin, someone who advises her to lower your expectations and go slowly. But she's recognizing that lowering of expectations, as she sees it through her child, she's recognizing that I don't want to do that. I want to hold on to that feeling. It doesn't mean that disappointments won't come. It doesn't mean that things happen that you don't like. It means none of that. But it means that you don't see it as a lower expectation. It's just part of life. My life is unfolding. I cannot control what other people do and say to me. I simply cannot. I cannot control the weather. I can't control lots of things. What I do, it's my thinking that I have dominion over. And I want to choose to feel, or at least be able to go back to, being on the brink of everything. Because there's something, just as I was showing the poster that is part of what Tracy McKenna was putting out on Instagram today to advertise this talk this morning. And we together chose that woman who's embracing what's going on, not someone who's cowering at the edge, but embracing what's to come. It's a beautiful place. It is a beautiful idea of how to be. I'm just embracing it all. And that's on the brink of everything that we're talking about. She's ready to fly. She's ready to fly. And that idea of how we want to be is what we are seeing. That's what we are doing in the world when we can remain on the brink of everything. I do believe this idea that the way to do that is to see, as Florida says, to embrace everything fiercely, everything that happens to you, everything that unfolds in your own experience. Do I like it? Maybe not. But it now is part of my experience. I frequently talk about, because it seems like it happens sometimes when a cow plop comes in your life. And what I do about the cow plop is really how much joy I have in my own being. Can I always be excited because I can jump? Can I always be excited because I'm able to move through life? And I can certainly be grateful for all of that. But I can also be grateful for those ideas that come into my life that I didn't think I wanted. Because Ernest Holmes says that nature abhors a vacuum and it does not like complacency. And we all get uncomfortable, you're going to get nudged. And it is the you with that spirit within you. He calls it nature. It is our nature. It is in our nature to not be complacent. How many of us feel complacent at times, or we just like the way it is? And so you stay there very long, and Ernest Holmes says, something comes. So if we think of ourselves as we wake up in the morning, like Courtney Martin's daughter, she wakes up in the morning, she says, it's like, delight me. That's what I'm wanting in this day. And I know that that delight, that enchantment, that energy that I have experienced with my own granddaughter feels so very good. I want a taste of that, and I can have that. I can have that not just through her experience, but as I do all of the things that I want to do to experience life. And I want to know that everyone can. It's just simply a decision. So as I come into this idea of on the brink of everything, and the rest of that is everything, everywhere, all at once, all the time, on the brink. Everything, everywhere, all at once, on the brink. It's like a chant. And so I want to hold on to that from camp. I'm planning to go to the rustic, woodsy, wild Camp Cedar Ridge again in July with the teens. Whole different experience. But there is that energy of the teens. There's that energy of camp that we're there for a purpose and we can do something. But what is your retreat? What is your thing that you want to do? There's always something. And take a look at your life. What can I do to delight myself? It's an invitation because we're on the brink of everything, everywhere, all the time. And so in closing, I want to know for us all that there is a sense of adventure about life in the highest and best way possible. That my life is unfolding, my eternal life is unfolding, and I get to see and say where it's headed. And I release the how, knowing that as Spirit guides everything, it happens in the highest and best way for all concerned. That is my prayer. And so I say yes to all of it in extreme gratitude and say, and so it is. Thank you all very much. Ruthie is going to pass the plate now, and I think we're going to have the prayer to share. It begins, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. Does anyone have a question? Do you have an adventure? Do you feel that you're on the brink of something? Do you have a comment? Right there in the middle, Grant, thank you. Yes, Bill.
Thank you for that talk. My question is, let's say I'm ready to jump. I'm in this period of growth, but I still have my old friends, my old relatives. And one of my friends, his nickname is Eeyore, just to give a direct, all that implies. That's his nickname. You can get the gist. So am I to leave those friends behind, limit my time? What would, where do we go with that?
By the way, Bill, I just want you to know there were people chuckling throughout the room as you were asking that question. And the truth of the matter is, in my personal life, I haven't been back since 2019. And so we talk on the phone occasionally, but there are subjects that just don't come up. So, what I am saying is I will go back, and I may even go back sometime this summer. And I have already, recognized how I want to be in that. And it is simply to know that I do not have dominion over anyone but myself. And so no matter what is said, I may disagree, but I don't have to be disagreeable. And I may want something different, but I don't even have to express that. It depends on the situation I find myself, because I've actually thought about this, about how to do that. What I don't want to do is to react in a way without consulting my higher self. I simply want to be on the brink of everything wonderful. And let it be what it is, and let other people be who they are until they're not. Does that help at all? It's not your aspirin, but anyone else? Yes, David.
It's so interesting that you say on the brink of everything, because I feel like I'm on the brink of everything right now in my life. I've taken a challenge with, I don't even want to talk about it yet.
Don't.
But something
Hold
magnificent and miraculous is going to happen.
Yes.
And
Well, let us all know with you that's what does happen.
Yeah. And the part of me that, if I go back to my 20s, I went through depression when I got overloaded. There's that little part of me that's scared because it's so big.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel I'm more ready to accept the new, more than I'm afraid, if that makes any sense.
Well, meanwhile, we'll just wrap you in love, understanding, and just fluff you all up so that you know that the highest within you is meeting all of your own expectations and desires.
Thank you.
I have a niece-in-law who has been through a number of things in her life, most of which I don't even know. But she has reached this point in her life when she is determined. You talk about a fierce determination. She, I'm not even sure where, it was someplace in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon. I saw it on Instagram. She has run a marathon, which is not unusual for her, but her qualifying time allows her to be in the Boston Marathon. And this is a young woman who has 2 very young children, and she is in a doctorate program in psychology. So she is on the brink of all of it. Talk about everything, everywhere, all the time. And yet I know from other things she says, this is her way of just saying, world, here I am, and I'm coming after it. And it's a wonderful attitude, and I appreciate that. Her husband, our nephew, is supportive in her. He ran a marathon too, but I don't think his time didn't qualify him for the bar, but his wife did, and he celebrates her for that. And I don't think he cares either, by the way. So that is, there's just times to go for it, David. Yes. You can qualify for whatever it is you want to qualify for. Thank you. There is nobody, no thing that's in the way. It's just yours for the knowing and the unfolding and confidence and love for yourself and for gentleness for yourself, always knowing that it's the highest and best for all concerned that you are striving to be. Anyone
I like what you
else?
said about dominion, about owning your own dominion.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
I resonate with that a lot.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a comment? I always love it when we have one from you two, but maybe not today.
None today.
Well, is it a wrap, Mr. Grant? Okay, thank you all for being here. I just love this Wednesday service, and I am grateful for all of you who show up in person and ever how many are showing up on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Adios.